If you think Chapter 2 of Red Dead 2 is boring, you're probably playing it wrong. And I don't mean it in a harsh way. I mean you're rushing it and missing some of the most important storytelling in the entire game. Because Chapter 2 quietly sets up the gang's downfall, Arthur's redemption, and even Dutch's unraveling. And most beginners miss all of it. Today I'm going to show you 3 Chapter 2 details that completely change how you see the story, and the third one especially makes later chapters hit way harder. Let me ask you something. When you were in Chapter 2, how often did you actually sit in camp and just listen? Most players use camp like a pit stop. Sleep, donate, then leave. But if you stick around, especially in the evenings, you'll hear conversations that straight up foreshadow the entire collapse of the gang. Dutch keeps talking about faith, about one more big score. At first, it sounds inspiring. But here's what most people don't notice. He already starts repeating himself. He dodges Hosea's concerns. He makes plans without explaining them. And Hosea, he's already questioning him. This is important, because the game never announces Dutch is slipping. It lets you overhear it. And if you miss those conversations now, later moments feel more sudden than they're supposed to. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Arthur hears all of this too. He just doesn't react yet. And that leads into the second detail that most players completely ignore. You know how Arthur feels loyal in Chapter 2. Confident, calm, all in on Dutch. That's not the full picture. Open the journal. Seriously. What he writes in private is way more honest than how he acts. And here's something a lot of people don't even realize. The tone changes depending on how you play. If you're violent and reckless, Arthur sounds irritated, bitter. If you help strangers and take your time exploring, his writing becomes reflective, almost helpful. This is huge, because it means his redemption doesn't start in Chapter 6. It starts here, quietly, in how he observes the world. There are early entries where he questions whether his life can last. Tiny doubts, but doubts all the same. And if you never read the journal, you miss the fact that Arthur was changing long before the story forces him to. And speaking of how you play, Chapter 2 has a talent that's basically designed to test what kind of Arthur you're becoming. When you first get to Valentine, it feels like chaos mod. Bar fights, robberies, starting trouble, and yeah, the game lets you. But Valentine's is actually the first place the world starts reacting to your offer, long term. If you constantly antagonize people, shopkeepers remember you. Lawmen escalate faster, NPC greetings shift in tone. But if you're respectful, Valentine almost feels peaceful. People greet you warmly. Random encounters feel human instead of hostile. And here's why that matters. Chapter 2 is the last time Arthur has full freedom before the story tightens. Valentine is the sandbox where you decide who he is before things spiral out of control. Most players treat it like a playground, but it's actually a mirror. And there's a small optional character detail in camp that makes this whole thing even heavier later on. Kieran starts Chapter 2 tied to a tree. Most players either ignore him or antagonize him, but if you greet him consistently, you can actually hear his tone change over time. He softens, he thanks Arthur, he starts trusting the gang. It's very subtle, completely missable, but it builds emotional weight that makes later events hit much harder, and a lot of players never experience that version of the story because they never slow down enough to see it. Chapter 2 feels slow because nothing has exploded yet. The gang still feels like a family. Dutch still sounds confident. Arthur isn't sick, but underneath all of that, the cracks are already there. If you rush through it, you miss the setup that makes the ending devastating. So next time, when you're at Horseshoe Overlook, don't sprint to the next mission marker. Listen, read, watch how the world reacts to you. Because in Red Dead Redemption 2, the story isn't just in cutscenes, it's in quiet moments you almost ride past, and honestly, that's where the real game is.